Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to our science class. I am Miss Ingrid and I am really excited to talk about this topic today. We are going to learn what is in a laboratory. This is a very important lesson for all of us because we all have to know how to work in a laboratory properly so we can avoid accidents and we can use all the instruments in the correct way. Some of you already met our lab when you went to the school, and remember that when we are ready to go back, we are going to work there. Alright, but first of all, we have to know what a science lab is. And it is a place where you can do a lot of experiments, right? We can also study some organisms there, for example, animals or insects. We can learn from them and we can understand their behavior, which is important information for every scientist. And maybe the funniest part of being a scientist, we can create things there. Anything that you can imagine, we can investigate and we can do experiments to create it. Sounds cool, right? Now we are going to talk a little bit about what is in a laboratory. This is an important thing because these are all the resources that we have in a lab and that we can use to create things or to do our experiments. First of all, we have the lab equipment. For example, it can be the microscope that we can use to see microorganisms or cells. It is an important equipment for us for any investigation that you would like to do. And for example, we can also have an incubator, which is this machine where we can keep our microorganisms so they can grow, alright? The equipment are most of the times the big machines that we have in a lab that we cannot move from their place, alright? And the second thing that we have are the lab instruments. For example, the flasks and bakers. The instruments are all the glass things that we have in which we put the substances that we want to mix and that we use to create substances that we need. Alright? And finally, we have reagents that are all the substances that we can mix in a flask, for example. Here I can name, for example, the distillated water. This is a kind of water that we all the time have to use to clean our flasks or to mix with a specific substance. Those are called reagents. Now we're going to watch this video. This is a scientist doing an experiment. He is mixing some things and something happened. And it said safety first. What does it mean? It is always important to remember that when we are doing an experiment, we can use sometimes dangerous substance. So that's why it is always important to protect ourselves. And how can we be protected in a lab? Well, it is important to know the things that we can use or to wear to be protected while we are staying in a lab. And the first are the gloves. Of course, the gloves are to protect our hands from dangerous substance, but also they are important to avoid contaminating our samples. When we are doing an experiment, we could have things in our hands that can contaminate our thing. That's why it is important their usage. But for example, if you are not doing any dangerous experiment or you are not working with important samples, you cannot use them all the time. Okay? Then we have the glasses. The glasses are important to protect our eyes. Okay? They are used also when you are doing a dangerous experiment, not all the time. But what we have to wear all the time in a lab is the lab coat. All the time, because it helps us to protect our clothes and also to protect our body. It has to be of cotton because other materials can be flammable and it can be dangerous. That's why it has to be specific lab coat. Okay? It is always important to wear it when we are in a lab. We cannot stay there without it, even if you are not doing an experiment, because there are still the substance that we use in our experiments. And last but not least, the closed shoes. They are also always important because sometimes we can throw a substance and it can fall on our feet and it can be dangerous, but it depends also in the things that we are doing. For example, we have these boots that you see here, but they are not necessary boots. You can use sneakers or closed shoes in general. Now here we have one of the most important parts of a lab, and it is the teamwork. We have to know that it is always important to have the support of other people when we want to do a project, because we all have different skills, different talents, and different knowledge, and all those things are important for a project to take place. For example, if I would like to create something and I need something that I don't know, I can ask another person to help me with that part. I don't have to know everything because there's a lot of information. We don't have enough time to know everything. But we can always count on other people and other people can help us. Okay? That's why it is important for you to remember that we will always need other people. For example, I would like to create a biodegradable chips wrap, and to do it I will need a lot of people, right? First of all, I am the biotechnologist, so I can do all these molecular things, but I will need the help of researchers to do the experiments that we need to create this wrap. Maybe all of you could be my researchers and help me with this, with the experiments, which is the funniest part of a project, right? And maybe when we create this wrap, we could need the help of Miss Dani to help us with the art of the wrap. And also we could ask Mr. Paco to help us to design it in digital. It could be really interesting, right? And at the end we could also do a commercial of this biodegradable chips wrap. So we could ask Mr. Adrian and Mr. Isaias to help us with that. And that is a big team of people with different knowledge and different skills, so we all can give some of us to create this project and to make it happen. Okay, that's the important thing of this part, to understand that we all can help with something, and that something can be the difference between a project that can be done and a project that cannot be done. Okay? It is important to remember it all the time. Now we are coming to the end of this class. We have learned a lot, right? But before we go, I will ask you to do this activity. You can use your notebook in the science class part, and you will have to answer these two questions. The first one is, what would you like to create? You can imagine anything that you would like to create. It can be, for example, a toy or something for your pet, maybe something to help your family or to help our planet, maybe a new product, or anything you would like to, something you would like to create. Okay, you can be as creative as you want. Okay, and the second question is, Which people would you need on your team? Let's think about it. Which people would you need to create this thing that you want to do? It can be your friends, your parents, maybe an expert in a certain topic. You can imagine the thing that you want to create and to think what will you need to do it, okay? Perfect! And that's it for today's class. I hope you liked it and I hope that you learned a lot and that you consider all these things important because we will be working in a lab and we'll have to know all of these things, alright? Thank you so much for watching this video and I will see you next class, okay? Bye bye!